versus your level. This is not going to work in a technical level, but then you can create a very good argumentation behind it.
Okay.
So that's the problem.
And this thing, you think we should include them in our video or only in the
No,
report?
no, no. It is just to help you, because otherwise it's very. Yeah. So how do you narrow down your thoughts? So it's just to help you. Yeah.
Make it a little bit more
concrete.
specific. Okay,
Yeah. So
specific.
to bring you all on the same level, more or less, of analysis.
Okay. Yeah. Now I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh. I think everybody could hear what I was saying. I think Georgia, everybody heard our conversation. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's a few minutes past. I'm gonna stop because I hate my voice. Yeah, I'm gonna stop hearing my voice though. All right, guys. I hope you are all awake. Because after lunch is always a tough time to come back and do some work. Did you find interesting? I heard have some good words for the morning presentation. So I hope that you now have an idea of the different levels. You can question which direction you will decide to take for your analysis and the depth. Without further ado, I see some more people coming in. We're going to start the second part of the day, and that is with Andres. And Andres is going to help you a little bit with some skills. He has a huge amount of experience in how to do that. You can follow him actually in his LinkedIn and blogs. Without any further ado, Andres, you can tell them how it is done.
Yeah.
They have 3 minutes for their video presentations to convince the general manager. So let's see what kind of frameworks and ideas you will show them. Okay.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I think this is okay. Everyone can hear me, right? Awesome. Yeah. So, good afternoon. Welcome to the pitching clinic. My name is Andres Campo. I'm gonna make a small introduction because most of you guys already know me. Some of you, maybe I'm new to you. Let me make sure this works. Okay. So I'm just going to keep it super streamlined because we have 50 minutes. I want to make sure that I give you as much value as I can so you're ready for that video pitch. Okay? So just a few general things about myself. I'm originally from Colombia, huge fan of football, love pizza, and I lived for about 7 years of my life in the United States. So that's sort of my background. Been doing a lot of consulting. Some of these companies consultant as a digital marketing specialist, but as well as an innovation coach. So that's sort of like what I did before I joined the school. I'm also an entrepreneur, and I've done my fair time of pitching, which is why I'm here talking to you. This format that I'm going to show you today, I've actually used plenty of times in really big audiences, and it truly works, and I think you can use it for your video pitch. Okay. And yeah, like I mentioned, I joined the school at some point. These are the classes that I teach within MCE. Some of you already were in one of my classes, so that's really nice to see you again, right? Awesome. Yeah, so like Chris mentioned, I do a lot of work on LinkedIn. I post a lot of blogs. I do a lot of videos. So if you want to learn more about the startup ecosystem, technology, make sure that you follow me or that you connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay? All right. This is today's agenda. I try to keep it streamlined. We're going to be touching on 4 topics. The first one is business model innovation, because you're asked to look at a business model. So we're going to be talking about that at first. Then I'm going to show you the anatomy of a good pitch. And this is probably the most practical information I'll give you today for your video pitch. And then I'm going to give you some tips for your pitch deck, okay, and some tools. So We're all here together because you got to answer these 3 questions, right? So you got to answer these 3 questions somehow in your video pitch. Is that right, Chris? Yeah. So the information I'm going to give you might serve you well. There are aspects that perhaps are not going to fully apply, right? So I want you to keep that in mind. Just try to take out the most valuable information for you, okay? So I want to be clear about that. Cool? So since you are asked to look at business models and to assess the feasibility of a business model, I'm going to start by showing you the concept of business model innovation and what entails an innovative business model. Okay? That's the very first thing I'm going to be covering. Business model innovation essentially is this practice of looking at current business models and determining how can we do things differently, how can we do things that are set for the new century and that implement technology and that also are sustainable, which has everything to do with your work throughout this week, right? And it entails these 6 major aspects, which I'm going to be sort of like zooming in one by one. It starts all with market size and the ability of you to scale and to look at markets like a global playground. It also has everything to do with the distribution of your business model. How quickly can you distribute this? How much does it cost you to distribute your business model? Number 3 is all about high gross margin, the implementation of software. How does that play a role within finances of your business model? The network effect, which is an effect that we all have experienced, and you're going to see how you get to use it every single day. Product market fit, which is a very interesting concept within the startup ecosystem, and then operational scalability. Okay? Again, you were given a challenge, right? And it has to do with answering these sort of 3 questions. This information might serve you well for some aspects of it. Some aspects might not be as relevant, but just try to assess what do you want to implement, because you guys are very early on this week, and I'm sure there is a lot of work that you still need to do, right? Cool. Awesome, let's get into it. So within business model innovation, the very first aspect is that since we have a global economy, we have a global community, we have now the ability to scale our business models globally, right? Pretty straightforward. When you're pitching your idea, whether that is to investors, people within your organization, they truly want to know how scalable is this that you're showing. Is this concept something that can be replicated in the neighbor countries, right? Can this be replicated in another continent? That's a very important aspect that they want to know. As you're going to be pitching this solution, they are looking into this, right? And what's interesting is that they really want to know, is this $1 million opportunity or is this $1 billion opportunity, right? And this is directly attached with the size of the market. So the more markets, of course, you can tap into, the more opportunities you have to make this $1 billion opportunity. What's interesting as well is that with market size and with the scalability, you can start within an industry, let's say logistics, or a very specific aspects of logistics, and then you can jump onto different industries, right? So can we think of a company that has done this in the past? Does anyone has an example of a company that has translated their business model within different industries? Yeah. In an essence, yes, they do scale to different markets, but what about different industries? What is a company that has gone from, a particular industry to a new one? Yeah. What's that? Virgin. Virgin is a good example. Uber is a great example, right? They went to taking you from A to B to now taking your food, right? Amazon as well, from e-commerce to now logistics services, right? So that's the idea with business model innovation. If you have a business model that can scale, not only in terms of the market, but in terms of the industry itself, now we're looking at $1 billion opportunity, right? Aspect number 2 of innovative business models, distribution. How much does it cost you to acquire new customers? That is the biggest question. The closer you get to zero, the easier it is for you to achieve better distribution and, of course, to bring in bigger revenues, right? Pretty straightforward concept. Why do you think so many companies are currently investing in content as a strategy? How much does it cost you to make a video on Instagram or TikTok? Not much, right? I mean, you do invest time in it, but in essence, if you have a big brand on these networks, you can drive this cost of acquisition down to almost zero, right? And that also entails having a business model that is innovative, because you can do proper distribution. You can distribute more aggressively your product, right? So if you find ways in which you can drive down customer acquisition costs, then you're looking at good distribution concept. The important thing is that a lot of us think because we live in this digital world, we only should be acquiring customers online, when that is actually not the case. It's amazing opportunities to acquire customers offline. Of course, this is the parenthesis. We're currently in Corona times, right? Maybe you cannot do these things offline. But before, we had the opportunities of conferences, talks, right, master classes, all of these different touch points that are offline that allow you to acquire new customers. Again, the concept is to get as many customers as we can for as little cost as we can, right? And it comes with these 2 extra concepts. The first one is leveraging existing networks. Can you use your partners' networks to onboard new clients or to get new customers? And number 2, can you generate virality within your product? How many products have created virality that we use on a daily basis? Plenty of them. Today I was just listening to the podcast of the founder of Dropbox. Within Dropbox, it was such a key feature, virality, the fact that if I share a document with you, you had to open an account. I automatically acquire you as a new user. How much did that cost Dropbox? 0, right? That's a great example of distribution applied properly. Also has to do with business model innovation. Another important aspect of business model innovation that has been very popularized in the last 30 years, if we may, is that we've realized, and investors and the people that buy within your visions have realized, that high gross margin businesses are much more rentable. What is an example of a high gross margin business? Software, right? How many Salesforce do I have to make to sell to 1 million customers? Only one version of Salesforce, right? How many Microsoft Teams do I have to build so I can sell it to a lot of different schools so they can do classes online? Only one Microsoft Teams, right? It's not the same with the products that we're used to consuming or that we've been used to consuming. So that's why software is so attractive. Again, you're very early in the process of your solution design. If you find a way to implement software, this is definitely going to make your solution more attractive. Okay? Number 4 is the network effect. One of the most popular effects in the market. Think about eBay. The more consumers that are buying within the marketplace of eBay is more attractive for sellers, right? Because there is a big market that they're likely to buy from me. And the opposite is true. The more people selling things on eBay, the more attractive it is for me to join that marketplace and to shop around within eBay, right? It's the same story for Facebook. The more of your friends and family join Facebook, the more attractive it was for you to join. I'm sure you experienced this with TikTok recently, right? A lot of you guys were not paying attention to TikTok until your friends joined the platform. And that is called the network effect. Not every product has the ability to have this feature, but the ones that do are extremely attractive to investors. Marketplaces do carry this feature. So maybe you're thinking of a sort of marketplace solution. Again, you guys are really early on your solution. This concept of product market fit is also important to be able to communicate with your investors and the people buying within your vision, right? The fact that you're not going to launch the perfect product at first, but rather you're going to build it on time. So, great example of it, the iPhone. What was the first version of the iPhone? Who wants to give it a shot? Very first version of the iPhone. Was it? The iPod. There you go. The first version of the iPhone was the iPod, and then it evolved to the point that we have the iPhone 12 or whatever, iPhone 25 or something. And that's the idea. The idea is that you're not going to have a perfect product at first. Rather, you're going to build products that are going to iterate. And you got to be able to communicate that. Because if you're coming with a vision that is perfect for 2050, investors are going to get scared. They're going to say, oh, that's too ambitious. You want to do blockchain and all of these things. We're not ready for that yet. Rather than doing that, explain to them what's the road to get to that vision. Right? So don't make it scary for them. And then the last aspect of business model innovation is being able to articulate what does it take you to get to that point. So to build a prototype, you more likely you're going to need a couple of people, right? You don't need a full set of engineers. And this is important that you're able to communicate, hey, we can start next week with 2 project managers and 1 software developer, right? Whatever your solution is. Okay, so I do have only 50 minutes, so I want to make a power session sort of. I want to open it up for questions. I just show you these 6 different concepts. Do you have any questions within this, any of these topics? These are the 6 things that investors are looking at when they're assessing business ideas.
And I think Andres, in their case, is not only if you look at a product, it's also a process, it's organizations. In their case, even if they see end-to-end supply chain, which consists of different, let's say, partners, it's exactly the same concept.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this does apply to solutions as well, right? I mean, my information was very product-centric, but of course, this does apply to solutions as well.
Who wants?
Any questions?
We need to also check online. We are hybrid.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
Yeah. We're hybrid now. No questions?
No?
Cool.
Just 1 second. Wait.
Okay.
We have to wait. So how would you pitch that?
What's that?
How would you pitch this?
How will I pitch this?
How would you, if you have like let's say, we are talking about model innovation, right? Yeah. Where would you start convincing someone?
I'm going to get into that. This is my second part of the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Right here. I'll show you a structure that has worked for me pretty well. Again, this is a bit product-centric, but if you take these same ideas and you communicate ideas in this way, your message is going to be more effective. Okay? Should I get going?
Yeah, I got one question. So from Susanna.
Okay.
It's okay. So if you don't want to answer, don't answer. How do you suggest we use the networking for the nuts? And the nuts is a product of Rumfeld.
The network effect for the not. Ooh, that's such an interesting.
Yeah, exactly. That's a difficult one.
Yeah. I'll come back to that towards the end of the presentation.
Okay,
Give
good,
it some
cool.
thought. All right. Yeah, so coming back to it, I think this is the more practical aspect of the presentation, because you do have to make a 2-3 minute video pitch. Okay? To me, this is the most effective format that you can use to communicate ideas. Whether you're working on a product, a startup, a solution, to me, this is the most effective way to do so. Okay? And as you can see, there is a lot of blocks, but it's called the best 3-minute pitch. So you should be able to get it on only 3 minutes. Cool? All right. I'm going to be using an example of a startup that was created at one of my classes a couple of months ago, just to illustrate how you can structure your ideas. Okay? Which is actually, I got to give you some context. It's called Elder Young. The idea was to connect elder people with the younger generation, that they just needed advice on career and, yeah, sort of like what direction to take, okay, on a professional context. Everyone on their phones and laptops, I truly hope you're on Microsoft Teams. Yeah? Cool. All right, so the first thing you're going to notice is that you always want to start with this. A simple statement of what's wrong and how do you, not how do you think you can fix it, but rather explain what's wrong, right? Make sure that everyone understands why is this an important topic, okay? You want to make a simple statement of what's happening. An example of this, did you know that 60% of elderly people feel alone? That's a big problem, right? 60% of people, 60% of your grandparents feel alone. Now I have your attention, right? There is a problem that needs to be solved. You need to identify what is the problem that you're solving so you can communicate the importance of this problem. Okay? This is the block number 1. You can see it on the top. Now you want to jump into the pain and gain. What pain does this cause, and what gain could you solving this problem could potentially cause, right? So now we have a very clear picture of what are the pains that younger professionals are experiencing and what are the pains that elder professionals are experiencing, right? As well as some of the potential gains, like gaining knowledge and learn a new skill. That's a potential gain. It's very important that we touch on the pains. What will mean if we solve this problem, right? What would that mean for your company? What is broken within the supply chain that we can fix? How much does that cost you, right? Or how much pollution is this causing? You want to talk about this. The product, how you're thinking of solving this. In your case, it might be a solution, right? This is where you want to state clearly what is it that you're going to do to solve that pain that you just showed, right? So what is your solution to this problem? In this case, they wanted to create a platform that provided coaching, profile matching, and it allowed the people the opportunity to learn from each other. So you want to lay down the features of your solution. Product demo. This one is very important. You got to showcase how do you envision your product or your solution. How do you envision it working? I couldn't put the video in here, but essentially they show a short video of their platform. If you're working in a solution, showcase exactly how does the supply chain work with your new thinking. How does that new business model look like, right? Make it as visual as possible. It's no longer about the features, it's about the big picture. How does that look? Customer traction. This one is a bit tricky for you because you don't necessarily have a lot of customers to this point. But what you can do is to talk about other companies that are doing something similar, right? So this has worked for X company in X scenario, right? That's going to help you get your message across. Then the business model itself, just getting into the economics. How does this work in terms of the finance? How do you make money? In your case, how would things change financially? This is really important to communicate, because that's really what they're looking for, to save money or to save time, or both, if you can. Investment. So here's where you want to showcase what is it that you exactly need to essentially implement this solution. In your case, you can tell them what will it take for them to implement this solution, right? To change their business model. Do they need to hire new people? Do they need to make a research, right? How much will that cost? Do they need to buy equipment? Build a product? This is where you want to showcase them how much does it cost them to change this course. Team, always make sure that you add a photo of yourself and the people that are working in this idea, and what are your values, what is your expertise. You might recognize some of these people. And you want to highlight what is special about you. Why are you the right team to implement this solution? What will it mean if they like your solution and they say, you know what, you're the right team, can we hire you to do this? And you automatically become a consultant within your industry. Wouldn't that be an awesome outcome of this week? And then you always want to end it with a clear call to action, right? This was their call to action. Build bridges, not walls. Knowledge is the new gold. I mean, it's a bit idealistic, of course, but you can call them onto getting in touch with you, maybe allowing you to work on the concept for a couple more weeks, right? And maybe implementing the solution forward. This is where you want to tell them, we are the right team. Would you allow us to implement this solution? And then it has to come across through your whole pitch, your video pitch, and when you're defending, that you truly care about this issue, right? That you're the right person because you care. What is the one thing that all entrepreneurs have in common? They're passionate about the problem they're solving. You got to show passion. All right, that's essentially the anatomy of a good pitch. Are there any questions with the information that I just shown you?
Very quiet, guys. Arthur, you have any comment? No? Okay. I think they're experts.
I have a theory. It's either you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, or I was extremely clear and you understood everything. Yeah? Awesome. Thank you for confirming. All right. So to close it up, I'm going to give you some very practical tips. I show you how to structure your pitch, how to structure your ideas. Now let's get into the visuals of how you communicate ideas, okay? This is called tips for your pitch deck. So essentially, you got to make a video. You can make a video of yourself talking. You can make a video of the PowerPoint. And of course, you got to show yourself. I'll give you a tool to do just that. If you're going to be using a pitch deck or a PowerPoint, these are the things that you should keep in mind. Okay? Make things legible, make things simple, and make things obvious. These are the three most important elements that should be within your pitch deck. Okay? What's the opposite? Making things illegible, complicated, and subtle. Things like these are very difficult to understand. Make sure that everyone can read your concept, that everyone can understand your concept. So what are legible slides? Legible slides and legible concepts are the ones that even older people in the back can look. Okay? So you gotta make sure that everything you have on your pitch deck is very big and bold as well. Even if you're doing it on video. Okay, let's take 15 seconds looking at this slide. And after the 15 seconds, I'm going to just point at someone, and I want you to explain to me, what does this startup do? What does this product do? Okay. Let's go here. Can you please tell me, what does this product do? Okay, so they summarize what you do. Yeah, in the back. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Summary, a combination of sounds and movie. Anyone else wants to give it a shot? Yeah, let's do the last one. Yeah, okay. So, very simple concept. You give the software or the algorithm a lot of footage, and it edits out the most important aspects of your footage. Okay? How complicated was to understand this? Look at all of the different elements that are happening on the screen. It's going to take you at least 10, 15 seconds to understand what is happening. We cannot afford that type of communication. Human brain is extremely lazy. You got about 3 seconds to get your point across. Okay? So to me, this is a very good example of a bad slide. Simple ideas are ones that are not intertwined, are ideas that are presented just as one idea, right? How many ideas did we have here? Plenty of ideas. Let's take 5 minutes looking at this. Sorry, 5 seconds, not 5 minutes. And I would like to ask someone to explain to me, what does this product do? Michael? Yeah? So this is a much better slide than the previous one, but there is way too many ideas still here. I'm going to show you an easier way to communicate this product. How long did it take you to understand this concept? 3 seconds? 2 seconds? This is how you want to communicate ideas in your video, right? If you're using a pitch deck, you want to make things stupid obvious, right? So people don't have to think about how does this really work. So obvious slides are the ones that you can just look at them for a fraction of a second and you automatically, when I show you this, everyone knew what was happening, right? All good?
It just told me that some people cannot see the slides, but they're all uploaded in Notschool.
Oh,
For
okay.
those, yes, they're all in Notskool, yeah.
Okay. All right, can someone tell me what is going on in this slide? What's that? Something is going up, right? What is going up? We don't know. What about now? Still don't know, right? Something is going up. It has to do with money. It happened throughout 3 months, but we still don't know. What about now? Now it's more clear, right? What the human brain does is that it reads the statement, 50% monthly revenue growth. We're doing great. And then it looks at the graph to validate that statement. You want to make slides that are simple to understand. This is another example of a good slide. Maybe it's not very detailed, but again, you know what's happening. So this is one way to explain Dropbox, right? We all have used Dropbox at some point in our lives, or OneDrive or Google Drive. Is this a good slide or a bad slide? Is good? Not good? See some people saying good, not good. Look at all of these different elements. This is not a good way to communicate an idea. There is way too much going on. It's not obvious. Okay, I'm gonna just skip through this one because it's not as relevant. This one is important. The human brain is wired to remember things in threes. So you want to make sure that you're showcasing things in 3 steps, 3 aspects of the idea, 3 main features. You want to break down things in 3. Okay? Like this one. Choose amount, choose a stock, send it. And you want to get to this level of simplicity. You push a button, and the food is delivered to your door, right? What is this company? Plenty of these companies do this, right? All right, so we talked about business model innovation. I gave you a tool that you can use. Again, pick out what's important for your solution. Some aspects might not be as important as others, but make sure that you get to decide that. And I show you how to do very simple slides in the case that you want to use the slides. Okay? Now, how can you use the slides and record yourself? Number one, I'm going to show you 2 tools to pick templates. First one is speech.com. Very simple. Second one is canva.com. And loom.com, that's how you record yourself and you record the slides at the same time. The most effective way to do a video pitch, I would say. But I don't want to bias you. If you want to do something creative, up to you. Yeah. With loom.com, completely free, you can record yourself, you can record your PowerPoint. Okay? And if you don't know how a good slide should look like, there are plenty of templates on canva.com. There are plenty of templates in pitch.com. All right. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for your attention. Are there any questions before I close it up? Yeah. I think that's a very subjective question. It really depends on what you think of what. It depends on the abilities and skills of your team. If you can create a small creative movie, I mean, by all means, try that. But I'm showing you an efficient, easy sort of way to do it. Okay? So that will be my answer.
But
Yeah.
for the assignment, it is a video.
Yeah.
And there's a presentation the next day verbally. Yeah.
There you go. Your question got answered. Okay.
There's a question here, or a couple of questions online. The one is about the slides. Can we get them? We're trying to solve that,
Yeah.
clearly. But the other one is, can you share a example of a good pitch video?
Oof.
Do you have one under the button?
I have plenty. I can make sure that it gets to Chris, and
Okay.
then Chris can
Yeah.
distribute that.
Okay, excellent.
We
Thanks.
can do it after the like now.
Yeah,
I mean, after the end. Yeah.
I'll do it on the
Within-
spot. Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. You guys are quiet today. All right. Thank you so much for your attention. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Could we get back to the question of Susanna about how do you see networking being applied on this particular case?
Yeah, so I think that was a good question. Susan, if you're listening to me, I think when I talk about network, I talk about the partners that you have within your network. And it's about leveraging the partnerships that you have there, right? So is there a way that in your solution you can include your partners? That's what I will be looking at.
On the value side?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's also what I answered, but that's correct then. Good.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. All right.
Okay, guys. All right. Okay, so what we need to do is to wrap up. If you have any questions or anything else, let us know. So tomorrow we have Keith. He's going to be here to talk to you. Yeah. So thank you. Say wave goodbye to the other class. All right? All right. The one you sent me is not the slides. It's it was not the slides, it was the
Yeah, I think I sent you something.
canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can send it now, and we forward it. And we upload some videos.
Let me get to it.